Today's video is all about knowing your audience and really anticipating things like what's their level of knowledge coming in, if you're going to give a presentation and what's their level of knowledge beforehand, or perhaps what are the time constraints that they have, and then thinking through those different pieces, but then understanding some practical ways that you can structure your visuals to cater to different audiences' needs with the time constraints or different level of knowledge or anything else that they may have. So I think you'll like these examples, and hopefully it'll give you some ways to think about structuring your presentations, your reports, and your dashboards in a way that you can be more influential with the stakeholders and audiences that you interact with on a regular basis. So we're certainly going to cover the importance of audience, but before we do that, I'm going to give you a quick primer on a really important framework that I use all the time when I think about structuring my visualizations and speaking to different audiences. And that is this notion of a conceptual hierarchy. Now, I go over this in a lot more detail in other examples, but real quickly here, concepts are either really abstract or really concrete. And when you think about different audience members, generally, this is a very broad categorization, but generally executives prefer more abstract, and managers and frontline operators prefer more of that concrete because they want more detail, more specifics, more of the nuances perhaps. Whereas executives is more, bigger picture, less detail. Again, I'm making a very, very big assumption here, but and generalization. But you'll see what I mean when I show you this example. This is actually a pixelated photo of, a number of years ago. That's me on the left, and two of my former business partners there in the middle, when we actually won a business business plan competition, and we won not only first place, but we also won grand prize, and we scooped up about $100,000 between cash and services. And it was a great competition. And one of the things that we had to do was to create a business plan. And if the business plan was vetted in that first round, we then we were one of the finalists, and you had to present for 8 minutes in front of this room filled of investors. And so one of the charts that we had in our business plan was the addressable market that we were going after. Now, this changed with our business here, but this was sort of like in the very beginning stages of writing the first draft. And it's a lot to look at this graph. You could see that one of the industries we were going after was business coaching in the US. And then even within that industry, specific market segments. Again, it's quite a bit to look at. When we got up to present to the investors and try and win first place and then grand prize, we only had 8 minutes. And so I didn't want to show this graph. What we ended up putting in the presentation was this, right? 15 billion is our addressable market. You see how much easier that is to process, especially in a short presentation? And so it's the same exact data, the one on the left compared to the one on the right. But with the one on the left, the judges could actually sit down and, when they're reading that in the business plan, they could take the time, have a cup of coffee, look at the different segments, look at the citations that we did as part of that below the chart. But that's hard to grasp, that when you've got 8 minutes and you're standing up on a stadium and you've got to make a quick impact. And that's why we presented the one on the right. And so when you think about where these fall in that continuum, again, it's the same exact data, but the top one is much more abstract. It has less detail. It's a little bit bigger picture. And then the one on the bottom is more concrete. It's got more of the individual components and details. And so I just share this with you to keep in mind your audience's needs and what's their level of, how much time do you have to present, and what's their previous level of knowledge on the subject matter at hand, and that you factor that into the visuals that you present. So I hope you found this mini course helpful. If you want more insights, you know where to find me. feel free to drop me an email, give me a call, and I would love to help you humanize your data and make it more actionable.